internet friend. What are you up to? Not eating, I hope. Because over the course of a series of videos, of which this is the first, you and me are gonna clean a possum skull together. At least I think it's a possum skull. Don't worry, I'll do all the stinky stuff. You can just watch. Yeah, it's ghastly looking now, but hopefully it's gonna be a clean, bright, bone-white specimen when we're all done. Though I fear it's likely to get worse before it gets better. It does need some cleaning. See, look, it's still got some of its fur and whiskers, and even its horrible little dried up nose is still fairly intact. My idea for removing that desiccated flesh is to keep it in water until it dissolves off, or at least softens. I've got the jaw part too. It's a set. They fit together, like this. Bloop, bloop, bloop. We have a pretty good dishwasher, but even so, I'm thinking this particular container is now retired from leftover casserole duty. We'll stick it in here, in the shed, to soak, and check on it again later. Wonder how long it's gonna take. Who cares? Stay tuned for further videos in this informative series. They might be gross. It's the Possum Head Chronicles. Hello, internet buddy. Recollect that possum skull we're cleaning? It's been soaking a week. I think it's time to check its progress. Ooh, the water's looking revolting. Look at that putrid film sorta hanging in there like a nightmare egg drop soup. Let's change it. I'm gonna dig a little hole for the meat water in hopes of containing the fetid stench. It smells pretty much like you'd expect, unless you expect it to smell kinda nice, in which case it doesn't smell at all like you'd expect. You'd be very, very unpleasantly surprised. Seems to be working though. The tissue is definitely softening. Soon we'll be able to clean it right off. For now, let's refill the soak pot with fresh water and let it sit some more. That was disgusting. Stay tuned for more videos in this informative series. It's the Possum Head Chronicles. Howdy, internet pal. It's time again to check the progress of the possum skull we're cleaning. Be warned, today's video is the most disgusting in this series so far. As you can see, last week's fresh water is once again cloudy with dissolved flesh. I'll dig a shallow hole wherein its unholy odor will be partially contained. This is happening in my yard. I'm gonna want gloves for what's coming up. When you see it, you'll wish you'd had gloves for your eyes. Pour out the rot bath. The tissue has really softened. I think today's the day this nose skin comes off. Look away, this is nasty. This little lump goes in the discard pile. Let us never speak of that again. Back into the soaking bowl with the now almost meatless skull and a fresh supply of clean water. It'll sit in the shed for another week or so, when we'll check on it again. It's the Possum Head Chronicles. Greetings, close personal online friends. It's time to check in on the progress of that possum skull we're cleaning. Just a word of warning, this video series is about cleaning a possum skull, so it's not for everyone. Be advised. In fact, I don't really know who it is for, honestly. It's pretty gross. The skull's been soaking for several weeks now. We're getting to the final cleaning stages. I'm scrubbing off some of the last stubborn bits of flesh with this brush I used to use to clean cast iron cookware, but which will obviously never again see the inside of a kitchen after this. Yuck. Here's a good piece of progress. The roof of the mouth skin is ready to come off. It probably has a technical name. The teeth are starting to come out too. That's okay. We'll glue them back in place at the end. This canine tooth is symmetrical with its root. It's almost a perfect crescent shape. A person might not have expected that. You see, we're learning stuff. Time to put this thing back in its soaking bowl for another few days. I bet the next time we open it, it'll be ready for us to start degreasing. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. It's the Possum Head Chronicles.
Well, hey there, weekend meh checker. Want to know something weird? The sentence, well, hey there, weekend meh checker, contains no vowels besides E. Want to know something else weird? It's time to check the progress of our possum skull cleaning project, but a spider made a web across the door of the shed where we're keeping it. Spooky. I don't know, maybe that's not all that weird. Anyway, the teeth are all falling out now. We have to be careful not to lose them. They're really tiny. We'll glue them back in the skull after it's all cleaned and dried, or else we could put them under our pillow and maybe get a visit from the most terrifying fairy ever. I like these ones with the 3 roots, they're cool. Uh-oh, setback. The skull's come apart along one of its seams. It looks pretty neat inside. I'm thinking this will be gluable too, but we'll just have to see, I guess. A little more gentle brushing and picking off some more bits of tissue, and I'm gonna call this maceration stage complete. I mean, that's pretty clean. Not for like restaurant silverware, but for an opossum skull. Look at all the parts. Next, it's degreasing time. I heard some people use mild soapy water for this, or even gasoline, which sounds crazy, but I don't know. I'm using ammonia. We'll find out how it goes. Very important to always read the declaraciones de precaution, I presume. So we'll let it sit in a bath of this stuff until next time when, if all goes well, we'll start the bleaching stage. It's the Possum Head Chronicles. Hello again, online pal. Time to check in once more on our possum skull cleaning project. Our spider friend is back, having reconstructed the web we took down last time we needed to get into the possum head cleaning shed. Sorry, spider, your works are futile. Nothing beside remains. Get it? Beside remains? So a lot of the greasy nastiness has leached out of the bone and into the ammonia bath. Look, it's gone all tea-colored, and it has a brand new funk. A sinus-burning ammoniac stench has replaced the previous rotting tissue stench. It is hard to pick a favorite. We don't want to lose any of the little itty-bitty teeth or other small pieces, so we're rigging up this improvised strainer through which to pour off the used ammonia. You can decide for yourself, of course, but to my eye, the bone really does look cleaner for having been in this stuff. We still have a little less than half the contents of the ammonia jug left, so it seems like we might as well soak these pieces in a fresh bath for a couple more days and see if it helps. It might. We'll find out. It's the Possum Head Chronicles. Hi, pal set. It's time again to check in with our possum skull cleaning project. As you'll remember, the skull is coming out of its second soak in ammonia, intended to degrease it. Let's rig up our little improvised strainer so as not to lose any of the little pieces. 2 soaks is it for the degreasing stage, so we can rinse out the soaking bowl. We'll also fill another pail partway with water in which to rinse the skull parts. This project is turning out to require more buckets than your mother at KFC. I'm only kidding. I don't know your mother. Her dietary habits are none of my business. But I do hope she's taking good care of herself. Obesity is a serious problem. Rinsing the skull dislodges a little more tissue and gunk from inside the cranium. That's kind of gross. We'll flush it as best we can, but there's a limit to how clean it's gonna get. I mean, it's not like anybody's gonna be drinking Mai Tais out of this thing. Awesome as that is to imagine. At last, we're moving to the bleaching stage. Here, we'll soak the pieces in hydrogen peroxide in hopes of brightening up the color a little bit. Not sure just how bone white we're gonna be able to get it, given that we started with such an old and weathered specimen, but we'll see when we pull it out in a day or two. That's a day or two in real time. To see what happens, you, of course, are gonna have to wait until next week's installment of the Possum Head Chronicles. Hey, gang! In an effort to give the Possum Head Chronicles more of a creepy, stylish Silence of the Lambs feel, we're shooting this step in our possum skull cleaning project at night by the light of a headlamp, probably weirding out the neighbors a little bit. Check out how much brighter the bone color got. This was from sitting in hydrogen peroxide for about 48 hours, a little more than 48 hours. Personally, I'm surprised. I think it looks great. So now the cleaning, degreasing, and bleaching stages are all done, and this project can move indoors. Being careful not to lose any of the teeny weeny teeth down the drain, we'll rinse all the parts in the shop sink and set them on a towel to dry. The next and, maybe final step will be to glue the disassembled pieces back together for display. It's the Possum Head Chronicles.
Well, friends, we've almost finished with our weeks-long possum skull cleaning project. All that's left is to glue the pieces back together. I special ordered a recommended adhesive for this job called Zap-A-Gap. It's shipped in a seemingly unnecessarily large package. We'll use it to glue the major pieces together first, this bit of the rostrum or whatever that's separated while we were soaking, and then them mandibles. Gotta hold them together for a little while to let the glue set. On to the teeth. Most of this is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of them, and they're little, but since they're symmetrically paired, it's easier to figure out where they go than you think it's going to be when you get started. Not to say there isn't a fair chance I'm putting some of these in the wrong places, I guess, but they look right to me. We lost any while we were cleaning the skull, but some were just missing from the beginning. I ended up with just one of these guys, which I take to be a bottom incisor. So I'm just gonna leave it out, I think. Having just one up front there looks actually weirder than none of them. And there it is, cleaned and reassembled and ready to display. Almost hard to believe this handsome and educational objet de la nature was only recently a foul-smelling hunk of biohazardous dead critter. What an edifying journey we've been on together. Kind of sad to see it end. But don't get too down about it. For folks who keep their eyes peeled, the roadsides of America will always offer up more squashed varmints. So something tells me we'll get a chance to do this again sometime. Until then, this was the Possum Head Chronicles.